Seems that we can't have nice things anymore. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And I don't know if this podcast is going to be popular today. I don't know that my podcast is popular ever, but I don't know that this one in particular is going to be popular. First and foremost, we did skip 2 days, and we skipped 2 days because I was traveling. As you can see, I'm in a different undisclosed location. So here's the deal. Here's what's going on. At the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade, a shooting occurred. Right now, police are saying that it stemmed from a personal dispute, whatever that means, has no link to terrorism. And as usual, it has sparked debates about the ownership and use of firearms. So first things first, what does the law say? Missouri law is very, 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 very permissive when it comes to gun ownership and the carrying of firearms. It's the first thing to get out of the way. And now it does have provisions for not owning firearms for violent felons or for those adjudicated to be a danger to themselves by reason of mental health or mental impairment. Some people would say, oh, well, that seems like enough. Well, something important to note there. Somebody with a significant mental health issue is typically not a danger to himself or others until he is. I'm saying he, I mean all genders in that. So that raises the question, what do we actually do in this situation? What do we do? And the answer is, I don't know. I myself am, or at one point was, a gun owner. I either am or am not a gun owner. And at no time were crimes committed with my guns. But that doesn't make it left, right, or center. Crimes can be committed with cars. We have a lot of rules about how you register cars and how you can be registered to drive a vehicle. We make you go to the DMV and learn how, and an underpaid and overworked DMV employee tests you on your ability to drive. And it's a totally reasonable and always reliable test on your ability because you go left, go right. You parallel park on quiet neighborhood streets, which is very much a reflection of your ability to drive. When it comes to guns, we find ourselves in a sticky situation. We're dealing with both state law and federal law, as there is in the Constitution a provision about the ownership of firearms. And before somebody comes at me and says, well, the Second Amendment clearly isn't meant to apply to the kind of firearms we have today, well, then the First Amendment isn't meant to apply to the internet. That's not, whether I agree that we need to change things or not, that's a bad argument. The evidence that we need to change things is not that the world has moved on, it's what's in front of us. According to the latest data, which I saw on Twitter, and I think is probably put out there by a Pew poll or something, in 45 days of the year, there have been 47 mass shooting events. Now, granted, a mass shooting event is a defined term, and that defined term can be quibbled about. But there clearly is a problem when you've had 47 events, and likely you've had more, because a lot of them in, for example, the inner city, just frankly don't get reported. They're just expected. So what do we do? What is the solution to this problem? Frankly, I don't know off the top of my head. In a 10-minute podcast, I'm likely not going to solve the issues of the world when it comes to guns, but I can give you things to think about, and perhaps one of you will become the person who informs the world in the right way, and you will fix it. Number one, there are a number of systems in place that are meant to prevent violent crime, including not allowing felons to own firearms, including the NICSIS, National Criminal Instant Background Check Service, or whatever that is, and including that when somebody is flagged when they go to purchase a gun, they are reported to the local district attorney. The act of purchasing or trying to purchase a weapon illegally is in itself a crime. It doesn't matter that the store owner said, no, you're a criminal, I'm not letting you purchase this weapon. It is a crime in and of itself. So there is a system in place right now that's meant to catch these things, but it's not perfect. And some people aren't violent felons. Some people aren't felons at all, and they turn out to be dangerous. Some people go and buy a gun and commit crimes of passion. So how do we fix that? There are simple solutions. One thing you might think about is waiting periods. Now, you might be wondering why a waiting period would be a simple solution, but a waiting period would get rid of a lot of those crimes of passion because it would create a cool-off period. Somebody would go in, buy the gun. Okay, we'll give it to you in 72 hours. They go home and they think better of it. They realize what a stupid idea that was. Right now, the time between trying to get the gun and committing the crime, it's about an hour. It's plenty of time to go running and commit a stupid crime. I'm calling crimes of passion stupid crimes. That's one way. But what about the problem of ghost guns on the street? We hear Fox News talk about them all the time. Well, frankly, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like me saying this, but it starts with control at your southern border. Because you don't know what's coming over the border right now. The human beings who are coming over the border are not the problem. Don't get me wrong. They represent a problem. They themselves are not a problem. They're human beings and should be treated as such. But oftentimes, the way they get smuggled over the border is by carrying something for someone. Carry this over the border for me and I'll help you out. Okay, so that's another thing to think about. You need to think about that as well. Solve the mental health issue in the country. That's a broad issue. But frankly, the easiest way to do it is just to require registration of firearms. Not registration of people, but registration of firearms. Firearms that, by court order or court fiat, can be seized based on some sort of due process. But frankly, is that going to stop an 18-year-old from stealing his parents' guns? No. So what do? You amend the Constitution. If the only solution is to get rid of the guns, period, and giving people more guns is not going to turn people into cowboys and make them ace shots, even the police who train for situations like active shooters miss most of the time. You got to amend the Constitution. And how are you going to amend the Constitution? You follow the constitutional process. Good luck. There's no easy solution. And there's not supposed to be an easy solution because it was put in the Constitution for that reason. But that being said, I agree with the voices saying something has to change. A friend of mine posted this on social media, and I'll leave you with this thought. If I have a hobby that in order for me to have unfettered access to said hobby, I have to put up with children dying, well, I should reconsider that hobby. I'm not going to go as extreme and say you should reconsider the hobby. I think the hobby itself is fine. But I agree. The unfettered access needs to change. I'm at 11 minutes. That's all I got for you. Something to think about. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.